Deg Bina Break.
Download Tak app.
The package that he brings with his batting and his left arm spin bowling, I think, is going to be a really important part of our the makeup of our side. So he's someone who we're hoping can start to fill that role of the all rounder more often. I think there's been a little bit of a changeover, obviously, with a few guys going out and a few young guys coming in particular. I think probably the one difference in the squad is that all-rounder spot. For this trip, we've gone with the spinning all-rounder as opposed to the medium-pace, fast-bowling all-rounder we had in Stoinis for the World Cup, and now we've gone with Agar. So that's just the main difference, I think, when you have when you're picking a squad for certain conditions.
And in the backdrop of what's happening back in Australia, the tragedy of bushfires that's seen so many animals and human beings, and so many lives being affected. Do you think that good performance by your cricket team here would bring some, joy to people back home?
Yeah, obviously it's very unfortunate what's happening in Australia, and our thoughts are with everyone that's affected by the bushfires all around Australia. So. At the end of the day, cricket's very insignificant to what is happening there in terms of, like you said, the loss of life and a lot of wildlife is unfortunately perished as well. So I think all we can do as players is try and bring some good performances and bring some excitement and hopefully some smiles on faces of some people who are doing it very tough at the moment.
After having a decent performance in home conditions with red ball cricket, how do you see the challenge in this Indian tour?
Yeah, I think it's important that we come here and try and continue that good form that we've had for the last few months in terms of the T20s against Sri Lanka and Pakistan, and then the tests against Pakistan and New Zealand. I think the way that the guys have been playing has been very good. Obviously, there's been a lot of wins, and one of the big challenges for our team is to continually keep improving, especially in away conditions. Most teams around the world now are very, very comfortable playing at home. So for us to be able to go away and continually win and challenge the best teams in the world on a regular basis is really important to us, and something that we're excited for the challenge. We obviously won here last time. We came 3-2. So to have that, to be able to back that performance up and hopefully starting off really well here in Mumbai is really important to us. Yeah, I think in India you have to be really disciplined with the basics. I mean, a lot of the time you can get caught up in worrying about sort of things that aren't all that relevant at the end of the day. I think that what you have to do is do the basics for a long time, and we're seeing that in these conditions. When you perform consistently, it's about your top 3 or 4 batters going on and getting big scores, wickets up front. It's pretty similar all around the world, but the really pleasing thing of the last tour was how we were able to come back from 2-0 down to win 3-2 and make a really big statement in that once you get behind in a series, you don't give up. You always you keep chipping away and take it one game at a time and try to get back into the tournament, into the series little bit by bit, and that starts off with doing the basics over and over. Probably more for you, that one.
He's shaping up really well. He obviously sustained a bit of a hamstring injury in a test match in Perth. He's played a couple of BBL games for the Sydney Sixers and come through really, really well. If you look at Josh Hazlewood's record in one-day international cricket over a period of time, it's outstanding. He comes back in. We've got some other quicks there. Obviously a strong contingent of quicks. It's one of the rare times that we've been able to have all the quicks available on the back of a heavy test summer. So it's full credit to those guys and their body preparation. But Josh is ready to go. He's selected for that first game.
And could you talk about the evolution of Marnus Labuschagne, how he's come along and he's possibly one of the best batsmen in the world right now, and how do you see his contest shaping up with somebody like Jasprit Bumrah, who's again one of the best fast bowlers in the world? Yeah,
that's going to be really exciting. I think the improvement we've seen in Marnus's game over the last 12 months has been huge, and that's been reflected in his scores and the impact that he's been having on Test matches. But I think if you look at his domestic one-day record, it's very good. He's batted in the top 4 for Queensland, and the way that our one-day competition's been structured over the last few years, you tend to play in blocks on some grounds where you're playing on used wickets a lot. So they can be quite similar to subcontinent type wickets where they're a lot slower, they spin a bit, and for him to be averaging up around 40 in domestic cricket is brilliant, and hopefully he can bring that form from the Test series. It's been amazing, and I think what's really important for him is that he takes enough time to refresh and recharge his batteries, because playing here can be very tough, and he'll be ready to go, no doubt. He's an exciting player. He's someone who just keeps getting the job done all the time, which is really important for us and for him.
What do you see as Adam Zampa's challenge as your lead spinner, particularly on fast-scoring grounds such as the Boundary
I think anytime you come to India, whether you're a spinner or a quick, you've got to be prepared to have those patches where things don't go your way. I think over time he's improving. He's been here more and more, and I think every time you get exposed to these conditions, you learn and improve, and that's been one of the big things for Adam Zampa. Even in BBL cricket, his improvement has been great. He's going to be challenged here. India have got a fantastic batting lineup. If we can get early wickets, we'll make his job a hell of a lot easier in terms of when he comes into the attack. Clearly, if a spinner comes on and the opposition are none down, he's going to have his work cut out. But we back him in any situation, and he can bowl anywhere in the front half of the innings and all the way to the back end. So we feel as though with him and Agar, we've got some good spin coverage there to challenge the Indian batting unit.
Obviously, the contest of Australian batsman against Justin Bumrah was now back in action. Double Australia in the past.
Yeah, he's obviously a fantastic bowler, and someone who, when you're not playing against him, you love watching him bowl. He's fast, he's aggressive, his execution is pretty spot on, and I think the more and more guys get to face him, the more exposure you get, the more you start to understand how he bowls. So it's going to be important that we don't overplay that too much. I think it's about focusing on what we do as a batting unit against that, and each person having their own individual plans. Each batting style is different. Each player has different strengths and weaknesses. So it's about doing what you have to do to mentally prepare for that challenge.
This question to you. A couple of years back, you were slightly in dumps, and then the Renegades captaincy happened. How did you motivate Finch, and just last 2 years back when he's slightly out of the team and stuff? You guys have a close relationship. Could you just talk about Finch when he was down? How did you bring him up, and what is his, how do you see him as a personality, and could he still come into Test match in the middle order?
That's a pretty broad question. I don't think he was ever down and out as a player. I think the natural progression of him in his career is always that sort of when you get to 27, 28 years of age, you start to figure things out, and he's had a bit of a purple patch in terms of his one-day international form. He was challenged in Australia by the Indian attack, there's no doubt about that. He's better prepared for what India present to him on this tour. But I think the great sort of growth in Aaron Finch has been his leadership. I think over the last 3 years, filling that void that Australia had in terms of the captaincy has been tremendous. His growth's been outstanding. His understanding of individuals and how to use them has been great as well. He's got a familiar group around him now in terms of continuity of team coming out of the World Cup. There's been a couple of changes. I think he's just matured as a cricketer. Understands his game, understands the opposition, understands the people around him, and it's all equated to him being a really, really fine leader for the country.
Test match, middle order spot in Test matches?
Middle order spot in Test matches. Well, you hope so. He's still playing first-class cricket. Look, he had the opportunity to open last summer, and probably in an unfamiliar position. He took that on. I think you're better off playing Test match cricket than not, so he jumped at the opportunity to open for Australia. Is he better suited to the middle order? I mean, time will tell if he does get that opportunity, but I think he's thankful for the opportunity that the selectors presented in opening the batting, and if another opportunity comes, I think he'll be better prepared for that. So who knows? I think the Australian middle order is doing pretty well at the moment, so it might be difficult to get back in.
Do you think in current scenario Indian pace attack is more worrisome for the opponent as compared to...
Sorry, start that. I missed the start.
Do you think in current scenario, Indian pace attack is more worrisome for the opponents compared to current spin attack?
I think both the spin and the quick fade, you have different challenges there. You've obviously got guys, Bumrah who can move the ball, Bhuvi who can swing the ball both ways, and then you've got the consistency of Jadeja, Chahal, Kuldeep. So I think you can't take either of the challenges, spin or pace, lightly. You have to be prepared with your own game plan mentally to take them challenges on. And like I said before, that'll be up to the individual to work that out for themselves, what's the best way to go about it. So at the end of the day, it's international cricket. You can't take anything lightly. You can't put more emphasis on one than the other. Otherwise, you can find yourself coming up pretty short.